Hey, what's up, fam? And welcome back again to Recap Kickback Presents Interview with the Black Ass Vampire here on recapkickback.com. It's me, your host, Chappell, and I am here to talk to you about episodes 4 and 5 of Interview with the Vampire. And there is so much to discuss. And with me, a vampire enthusiast who is thoroughly confused by what we just watched. It's Mari Forrest. Mari, welcome back.
I'm happy to be back. I am confused. Yes, I'm glad to walk with you through these 2 episodes. Yeah, mind blown.
Yeah. First of all, thank you to all the listeners who are here, who are enjoying our journey. I've seen some posts on Bluesky. I've seen some comments in YouTube. There's people are saying, "I'm loving this. I've been keeping up with y'all since I saw that you were doing it, and I'm very much enjoying it because the Vampire Lestat is coming soon. We still don't know when, but we will be here to cover that hopefully, and we will be there to address all of this in the real time once it comes back around and we are here for season 3. And hopefully you all are here with us. So if you haven't already subscribed, recapkickback.com/subscribe or youtube.com/@recapkickback to keep up with what we have going on here. Because we have a lot of coverage over here. We're doing Abbott Elementary right now. Chantel and I are going live to talk about Flavor of Love. Puya and I will be talking about Bel Air. That finale has dropped. And so Puya and I will be covering that kind of like we're doing the Interview with Vampire coverage. And we'll be doing it in pairs. And so there's a ton of content coming your way. Also, as I don't know if Mari and I discussed this last time, but is it the Night of the Seven Kingdoms or something like that?
Yeah, Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
We got Dragons, House of the Dragon. Our Hot D coverage is coming back as well. The Westeros Kickback will be here in 2026. So much to look forward to. But first, we have to talk about these 2 episodes of Interview with the Vampire. Episode 4. I want you more than anything in the world. And episode 5, don't be afraid, just start the tape. And so, Mari, I know you have a lot of confusion and it probably has a lot to deal with episode 5, but let's just start with episode 4 and get some of this out of the way. Some of our kind of like plot building and, from the past, because in our story so far, Louis, dear God, now he's got him on my brain. Louis has been retelling this story alongside Armand, the story of how they met and how they have cultivated the loving relationship that we know they have today. They're sitting there telling the story hand in hand, finishing each other's sentences. It's very romantic in a lot of spots, but we're covering a lot of dark content. And when you put it all together, Mari, I really had struggling to see how they are still a couple because the things that they are doing in the past in Paris, some of it seems like, okay, you could build a relationship on this, but other parts definitely feel like this relationship is going to fall apart. Remember, Mari, last episode, Armand was supposed to kill Louis. And now we're seeing what life looks like in Paris with a coven that is resenting Louis for not being dead and Armand for not committing to the same rules that he's enforced with them. So in episode 4, we get a lot of Armand in a power position, but something like a mutiny is building around him.
Yeah. It's like Armand basically told us since the first episode, he was forced into this leadership position. And I think he's kind of realizing that he is not fit for it. Or maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe not fit. Maybe it just doesn't want it. You know what I'm saying? Because we have Santiago kind of like nipping at his heels, like you said, like calling out his hypocriticalness. And it just seems like all Armand wants to do is just spend time with Louis, you know what I'm saying? And the coven does not like this, and you can't really blame him. And then on top of that, Armand is trying to, Armand tries to exert his power, it's looking like he's exerting it on Claudia, which again is red flag, toxic, just it's like Louis sure knows how to pick them. I feel like every man out there, why don't these females pick better men?
Choose better, Louis. Maybe you're the problem. But fair points, especially when you look at it from Claudia's perspective, right? Because Claudia, by the end of episode 4, is like, Louis, you choosing a man over me again? Like, again? We're doing this all over again? Yeah.
That was such a good scene.
She ate him up. She ate him up. We have to discuss Claudia. She is almost like a I won't say a pawn in this whole story, but her
Mm.
presence is almost like it's like secondary, right? So Louis is Armand's main interest here. Claudia's main interest,
Companion.
yeah, well, depends on what day you ask him. Uh
Yeah.
which we're gonna talk about F boy Louis. We're gonna get to him in just a second. But Claudia is being forced, as we discussed, to relive her days as a child every day on stage. She about 500 performances in before she's like, I can't do this no more. The problem
Mhm.
is, she has no choice. She did not realize this was a job that she was going to have to do for life. And
Right.
the people really love it. That's the other downside. Claudia is a
Yeah.
performer. The people are dressed like Claudia doll sets, things of that nature being so she's in a tight spot because everything about her new successful life in the coven is leaning on the antithesis of what she wants to be. She doesn't want to be a little girl. She
Right.
but that is who she will be until Armand is tired of her doing that.
Exactly. Like it was so it's basically, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like 2 years later essentially, right?
Mhm.
And Claudia has been, like you said, doing these performances day in, day out as Baby Lou. And they open the episode, I believe, with her whole performance of, baby doesn't like windows when they're closed.
Yeah.
It is such a subversive performance. I I get it. It's so macabre, right? It's the
Mhm.
this little girl talking about how, like, she likes to be outside slash likes to, go out the window, and then the skit that follows it is, like, a nanny and her mom, nobody's paying attention to her, a window's open, and she falls out the window and flies out the window and dies. Like, that is literally the like, the end of the skit. It's such a weird subversive skit that you can see why people are now coming just to see this skit. Like they say that the theater starts making more money, there's more patrons. They had to add another French show. The Wednesday
Mhm.
show is back because everybody is talking about Claudia as Baby Lou. Like you said, they're selling out little dolls. There are people are showing up to the audience in her dress. I was like, and you feel so bad for Claudia because, like you said, this is not what she wants to be doing, but everybody loves it. It's so successful. She's successful. But even when she is up there half assing it, like clearly doesn't want to be there, the crowd doesn't care. They're singing along. And it is just, I just feel so bad for her because it's like, kind of what Louis says later on in the episode, it's like, will she ever be happy, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
goes back to what we talked about last week with the madness might eventually catch up with her.
And how could it not in this situation, right? Like we already know she's reliving her worst nightmare that she already has to live in real life every day. She talks about how when she walks around the street, now she's famous. Like she is
Yeah.
vampire theater famous. So people now recognize her. And they're,
Mhm.
oh, you're Lulu, baby Lulu, baby Lulu. She's like, I don't want to be baby Lulu. I don't want to be, I'm a grown-ass woman. Like I've been around here for a long time. I'm a powerful vampire. And everybody's like, oh, you're a
Yeah.
baby. You're a baby that doesn't like the window. So it's like, so for her, she's struggling with this to the point where
Mhm.
she also says like, all right, look, take me off stage. Baby Lulu's
Yeah.
done a good job. We could take it off of Broadway for a little bit, rotate something else on, and then I can just go backstage and start doing something else. I'm not trying to leave the
I can
coven.
feed the rats.
I can feed the rats. Let me go
She'd
back to my
rather feed
chores.
the rats. She'd rather work in
It-
the wet room.
and unfortunately, Armand is not having this. Claudia is still being hazed, if not abused in this role, because he tells her, no, not only will you continue to do this role, but you will wear that outfit day and night. You will sleep in that outfit until you can get the passion back for what you for this role that you asked for, and so you can learn to humble yourself in front of the theater as so many other members of the coven have done. And so while this is very clearly torturous to Claudia, I thought there was a light at the end of the tunnel for her because the coven is pushing back. The coven is kind of
Yes.
like, I mean, you got a lot of words for Claudia, but where is the smoke for Louis, who's not following the old laws?
Exactly. And that's what that really pissed me off in this whole episode. It's like, why is Claudia continuously being the whipping boy for Louis' lovers? And not only that, it's like Armand clearly can't control the rest of the coven, so he's trying to exert control over her. It's disgusting. And the fact that Louis isn't saying enough about it for my liking is annoying as well. And I understand why Claudia can see, what's going on here. So like, yeah, he's like you said, he's really trying to dig in with Claudia, but has no words for Louis, who still hasn't joined the coven. And I love that Santiago and some of the other coven mates are like, okay, so she has to do this, but Mr. over there is good. Like there's twittering back and forth within the company, and they're standing up for her. So it does feel like Claudia does have a place. We really see her and Santiago connecting in this episode, I believe.
We do. There's the moment where she's in the wet room and he's like, hey, checking on her while she's doing the rats. And he questions her about her diary. As we know, one of the vampire laws is you cannot record the history of the vampire. To be fair to Claudia, in her mind, it's just her diary. This is not the history of the vampire. This is just her. Right. She does not know that decades later, this will be the history of a vampire told by Daniel Malloy through the eyes of Louis and Armand at their dinner table. But it does look like there is like some type of kinship between the two of them. He tells her like, hey, like she says nice things about him in the diary. I think that's the one thing that stood out was in the diary that she was writing. I thought she's obviously going to try to keep this to herself because, Santiago, it's probably got some of the old things that she's written in there about, about Lestat or about their travels or something like that. But she gives him the book. She's like, here you go, take it. Because, and he can read her mind that she's only been saying kind things about him. So I thought there was a bit of alliance here, but it does feel like the rift between Louis and the coven is too big for Claudia to overcome just alone. Because when they go out to dinner at that one scene, we see that Louis is doing the Louis thing, right? He's like this wide-eyed guy from the South, like, oh my God, the big city, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I got photography and all this other stuff. Like, he's such an ideas guy, and he's just like, you look at him and you just see hope, and it is driving Santiago crazy. He's like, this is who you lay with? This guy who's clearly lying to us about where he's from. When he called him out about the accent, I was like, Mari, we said this. Why did you pick Chicago?
Right. And the only thing that I could think of as to why they didn't just be like New Orleans is because the company knew that was maybe Lestat's last known location. But Mississippi.
Right, exactly. Mississippi.
You're like right there.
Right, Alabama.
Anywhere in the
I'm
South.
from Biloxi. Right.
Anywhere. I don't anywhere.
So, I get they didn't expect for Santiago to pick up on it, but he is good. Not only, well, for one, I don't know if he's good or if he just reads minds really well because, he has, from what we can tell, he has been prying for a while. Louis is not as skilled as Claudia at keeping his mind, safe from these priors. I think by the time 2 years has passed, I think Louis is getting stronger. We'll talk about that in just a second. But Santiago basically calls him out in front of everybody, causing Louis to do something that I was not expecting. Louis getting up from the table and snatching that man by his tongue.
Which I was thinking, like, they said that Santiago was the newest vampire. Technically, Louis is still new too. I was really trying to figure out where their ages were. I was wondering if they're kind of like around the same age because at this point, Louis is 60 plus years, I think. Right? No. Sorry, he was 60 plus years in 70.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So he's like 30 years out. I think he was made in 1910-ish or something like that. And it's 1949 at this point. So he's still pretty young vampire. But I mean, I guess he just had that dog in him.
He got the jump on him.
Yeah, he did. And again, it could just be because also Louis, we think of Louis as a fop now, but right now he is, before that he was a businessman in running a very hardcore business of, brothels, hookers, all of that. And he was a black man in the South. So, he used to fight. He knows how to fight. So I think it came up out of him.
It
The
did.
Louisiana came up out of
It really did. And like, there's obviously like, with age, the vampires have different levels of strength and this, that, and other. And we know that Santiago had he has the good blood in him. But I mean, it's not like Louis don't have the good blood in him. He has Lestat blood, and Lestat blood
Mhm.
apparently didn't been around. So I'm just saying, I trust Louis, but Armand shouldn't. Okay, Louis is getting out of control, and the Coven is getting out of control as well. Armand will eventually like shut down that whole situation using his massive amount of power that he has.
Mhm.
But the criticism has not been lost on everybody. Like, it's basically been said out loud, like, that we don't trust Louis. We don't understand why we're being held to different standards as him, and you're not being that great of a leader because you barely come around as it is. And then when you do come around, Louis got to be there too.
Mhm.
So yeah, Louis kind of in like this weird, like kind of like Yoko Ono kind of role right now, where it's like, the group is all together, but like they're
Yep.
like, who is this woman? Kind of like that's kind of like the vibe they're giving, is like Louis is breaking up the group, and I don't know if it's necessarily like he's breaking up the group, but the tensions around Louis are really starting to percolate throughout the Coven. And to me, again, like you said, this all will trickle down to Claudia because she is the one who is a part
Mhm.
of the Coven.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's the newest one a part of the Coven,
Mm-hmm.
so, that always when you're the newest in the thing, you kinda get uh, you do get the short end of the stick, so, yeah, Armand here is not handling the Coven and the Louis situation, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, he tells Louis to come back, Louis does not come back, Louis leaves,
Nope.
and when he does confront Louis, he's like he's like, "I want you to come around more." It's like, "Armand, that is not
He's
the
like, make
solution is
nice.
not solutioning." Like
He says, be friends with them. If you do you like them, I promise, just come around. They don't know the real you. They don't know the you that I know. Like, come on, stop it. Make Louis join the Coven or send his ass home. Like,
Mhm,
that's it. You, but he in love, and honestly, I almost put my headline here, my tagline here is justice for Armand. But based on the
mm,
episode 5, I can't do it because we have questions. We have to break some stuff down. But in episode 4, they asked Louis, so like, what's your relationship? What is this? They asked them both. And at the same time, Armand says companion, and Louis is like friends. Like, what? Louis just friend
mm,
zoned this man
in front
after
of his
in front of the Coven, in front of his people. Armand, you should have
stand up.
stand up. Stand up. It's been 2 years, Mari, and this man talk about. I mean, I would use companion. I mean, you can say companion if you want to say companion, but I think we just like we just doing our thing. Why we gotta put a label on it? What is wrong with
Ew.
him? What is wrong with him?
Just we just kicking what's wrong with him is he's still talking to Lestat in
Can we
his
talk
head.
about it? Okay,
Mhm,
okay. Let's we didn't dance around it too much.
yeah.
Lestat, as we know it, when in Paris, is allegedly dead. Mari has her suspicions that he is not. But even if he is alive and well, Louis is holding, basically is using the memory and the thoughts of Lestat as almost like his other relationship. He's like,
Yeah.
when Armand's not around, hell, when Armand is around, Louis having full on conversations with the memory of Lestat.
Yeah.
When Daniel asked him if he's schizophrenic, I leaned forward because I was like, yeah, Louis, what's up? What's this? Explain yourself.
Yeah, because even Armand sitting there hearing it was like, "Oh, I did not realize."
Realized he was
Ooh,
always there.
yeah, what was happening? Oh, so you alright, so you was talking to him the whole time.
Still,
Gotcha,
still.
alright, alright. Yeah, I still don't know how much of this is Lestat versus Louis, but it's now definitely a Louis problem. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
he no matter what, even if it was Lestat reaching out across, Louis has hold the door open in his mind for
absolutely.
Louis to come there. Like, if he was really trying to block that out and forget Lestat, then it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be a memory, it wouldn't be Lestat himself. So, Louis is clearly not over, not over the death of Lestat.
they just give me a headache, Mari. I don't know what to tell you because like I want Armand to do better, but also Louis, what are you doing? What are you doing carrying around this like? And don't get me wrong, I'm sure this happens in grief all the time, right? Where like someone is a widower or something like that, or a widow, and like, they have a loved one who passes away. It's probably really hard to let go of that, especially how complicated it could be in like an abusive relationship like the one Louis and Lestat was in. I get that, but you come on, like, I mean, there's no therapy for vampires, but we got to find it because he's using the memory of Lestat as therapy. Armand leaves and he's like, so what do you think I should do about this? What do you mean? What do you think I should do about this? The man that told you in your dream that he was going to stop at nothing to snatch happiness from you when you're the most content, like, that's who you turn to, so I had so many issues with Armand and Louis in this moment. And then on top of that, we get the Armand origin story, right? We get a little bit more in depth into how Armand came to be. I think he takes Louis to the Louvre. And I think that's where that painting was at. Yeah. And
but before you move on to that, men will do everything but go to therapy.
Okay, look, you won. So you won this time.
My ghost ex in my head.
He went to talk to the lady. It was just Lestat, and it's a ghost man in the dead. Okay, like, damn. Okay, I cannot. You won this time, sister. Now, but they end up going to a museum, and Armand will tell the story about basically how he came to be through the painting, the adoration of the shepherds with a donor. And so the quick version, Palmo Vecchio drew this painting. I guess it was donated, or the money was donated to make the painting from Marius de Romanus, who is Armand's maker. And even in the painting, we see Armand and his story, which is basically when he was 20 years old, he was rescued from a brothel he was rescued from a brothel at 15. And his name that he can remember was Aaron. And now Aaron was abused so much that he really don't even know what his birth name was. He was eventually sold into slavery. His maker was like not really trying to give him the dark gift, but he continued to serve him. He gave him the gift when he got sick. And prior to that, he was just using Armand almost like a sex slave, like a prostitute,
because this was in Roman times. Yeah. So
Armand had a certain set of skills, and he was putting them to work here as a sex worker, reluctantly. So he was being sex abused, sex trafficked, whatever you want to call it, until eventually he was turned, and he was given the name Armand from the coven. We know this part, in Rome, and then they set fire to that studio and banished him to Paris, killing his maker, I believe. And Armand,
did they kill his maker on purpose? I can't remember that.
It seems like it. It does seem like it. Or at the very, I highly doubt the maker just got caught in the crossfire of the burning, like studio. But Armand basically confides in Louis that he doesn't really know who he is, and I think that is who Armand is. And I think that's very interesting observation, because we don't really know who Armand is either. We know that he does the theater thing, but like, is he just going to be running the coven for the rest of his life? Is he damned to do this one thing forever? And it looks like he never had a chance, Mari. He's never had an opportunity to make a decision on his own. He was banished to come here. He was a slave prior to that. And he was a child prior to that. So in a weird way, Louis is kind of like, it isn't a love affair with someone who doesn't really know themselves.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Plus, like, also, you got to think, Armand's been around since the Roman Empire times, is what it seems. So that man has seen so much. He saw like the medieval times, Black Death, all that. But did he? Because he was just under the streets in Paris most of most of it. But you're right. It's like he's never had a choice to make. But for the past, at least, 150 years since Lestat left. And so, it was 150 years since Lestat left, and it was 122 years, I believe, before Lestat arrived. So for him running that coven, so for at least 250 plus years, he has actually been in a leadership position while not knowing who he is. So he's been making decisions when he's clearly not a decision maker, which, we get at the end here in that episode.
And his decisions were very simple. It was run the coven, follow these rules, follow these laws, and everything will be okay. Lestat kind of comes and throws a bit of a spanner in the works a little bit, just because he's Lestat, and that's kind of his whole thing. Is like he's an agent of chaos. But now Armand is finally in a place where he can control his own destiny, and his destiny is moving further away from the theater and closer to Louis, while Louis is actively putting up a wall between him and Armand because of the Vampire Lestat. So it's very messy, very, very, very messy. But of course, like I said, I love talking it out because they are all a wreck. All of them are a mess. And not to like move on too quickly from Lestat, but Santiago and the other members of the coven will eventually like grow so restless that they are going to try to infiltrate the home of Louis, and they do while he's out on a walk talking to the Vampire Lestat. Now, I know that you, someone who has been like, hey, this is Lestat, witchcraft, he's doing some magical stuff in Louis' mind. That's him projecting his memories and thoughts or whatever into Louis. What did you think about this breakup scene between Lestat and Louis?
I thought it was kind of interesting. I think it was Louis like letting go. I do think it was like Louis said, "Oh, I love, I dressed you in this because this is your favorite suit on you." So I think it is. I'm gonna take it at face value for what the director and the story is trying to tell me. It's Louis is in control of this, and it is Louis who is saying like he is closing the door at this point between him and Lestat. So I will take that at face value for right now.
I just have an issue with Louis' kind of like, I won't say his like mate choice, but I mean, he points out that Armand has some of the same tactics as Lestat. This use of his power when it came to Claudia and them at that dinner table or whatever. He then goes and apologizes with this grand gesture of like, let me take you to the museum in the middle of the night and all this other stuff. And Louis points out it's very Lestat. And I'm like, well, Louis, if you know that, then apply that to Lestat as well. Like you can point out these abusive tactics that Armand has because they're similar to Lestat, but when Lestat does it, you don't have that same like
right, hey, those same reservations.
what's not clicking? And so when he goes to say his goodbyes, even in his last moments, I still felt like Lestat was trying to manipulate Louis. His final words were something like, "Oh, you like this? Do you like this suit? Well, you don't know this, but I had the tailor inscribe your initials inside the pocket, right by my heart, so that it cradles my innocence." It's like, Lestat, give it a rest, please. Can you stop? Yeah. So
to the bitter end, huh?
Big questions surrounding Louis and Lestat, or at least Louis and Armand, because it like in this moment it does feel like Louis is choosing Armand over Lestat. But also in a lot of ways, it does feel like he's choosing Armand over Claudia, who has found a friend. Claudia and the seamstress from the second episode, the one who reluctantly made her that dress.
Sorry, because I don't know if we'll come back to the scene, but this scene where Armand sits down with Louis after Lestat fades away, and Armand is basically like, "Tell me what to do." I was like,
"Oh yeah, this Armand kind of got a complex. He kind of got a little like, let's talk about sex, baby. It sounds like Armand kind of got like a
like this is when two bottoms get together. What is happening?
Sub, like this is very sub interest. Like he's like, tell me what to do, daddy. Like okay, Armand, you are 2,000 years older than this man. Like you are in charge. No, he is ready to give Louis the keys. He's like, take me.
Yeah. He wants to be subservient. And this was like Louis, like he was like, all right, Lestat is gone.
Now I can be the boss.
Yeah, he has the cigarette. He's like, I used to run some businesses. He's like, so this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna get Santiago, you're gonna let Santiago think he's your heir apparent. Da 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 da. I was just like, y'all are weird. Like just in the sense of like, somebody got to take the reins. I need both of you. Wake up. Wake up. And it's Louis who has to. You have to do it because he's realized that he's a shit photographer. So
He doesn't know that back then, kind of. He is told that. First of all, Louis shouldn't even be talking to the photography people. Number one, when we go over these ancient vampire laws, Louis is actively trying to break them all on purpose. Like, I don't care what he says.
Mhm.
Them people told you don't even go talk to them lawyers no more who know vampires exist. Next thing you know, Louis is an art dealer. like
Trying to sell pictures at night. Pictures at night, right? So Louis is like, okay, my dreams of being a dashing artist is dashed. So let me just go help you go 10 toes down. When Armand called him Maître, I was like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
is happening right
Went
now?
full sub, full sub. He
Full
said,
sub.
Yep, you're in charge, master." That's exactly what he said. And it's funny because Louis has basically just kind of carved himself a spot as like the manager of the coven. It's
Right.
you know what you need? A project manager, and I'll be that guy. Like
Hmm.
you don't have to worry about this stuff. I'll
Great
come
ass.
in as like the coordinator and I'll whip them into shape. They're going to love this, Mari. I'm sure you can tell that the coven is going to love Louis, who has been parading around lawlessly for the last 2
Mhm.
years, just doing whatever he wants. Also, Claudia's Nepo brother, dad, kind of, is going to
Mhm.
show up and be in charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
Okay,
not
Louis.
gonna be fun. I it
No.
and we know they're plotting at this point. We know that they're plotting on the 2 of
Mm-hmm.
them already. So, this was where I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. This gonna be real interesting." But
Yeah.
sorry, Claudia.
Yeah. We have to talk about my girl because she has a
Mhm.
friend. The
Yeah.
seamstress that made her the dress in episode 1, and Claudia are getting very close. At first, I thought Claudia was about to kill this lady. I saw it coming because she had basically been walking the streets, um, looking for like basically letting people kind of disrespect her. Not saying that like she was looking to be disrespected, but
Mhm.
she was like those are like her prime targets, right? Are the people who are like condescending to her because she hates that so much. So we see her kind of like grab a guy and like eat him and then just go back to what she was doing. But when she gets to
Mhm.
this seamstress, Madeline, um she like invites her back and she's getting the dress tailored for the show, and then they start talking, and then gets a little tense. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, Now the seamstress starts bleeding. She starts seeping through her undergarments. Okay, fine. It's I'm assuming that's not it's the olden days. This is probably more common than not. And Claudia's teeth are like, hey, there's blood. Let's do this. But she does not eat this woman.
Yeah.
Uh yeah. What do you think about this relationship between the two of them?
I was trying to figure out, was it platonic or was it romantic? But no matter what, I think it was just what Claudia needed at that moment because we find out this woman, this dressmaker, she had like a Nazi symbol drawn on her window because people found out that she like slept with a scared Nazi soldier during the what I'm assuming is during the occupation.
Mhm.
Um and she just said, like, he was a young kid. You could tell he never did anything, and he just asked if they could make love before he goes off to war and possibly die. And she was just like, it was just a kinda like a service thing, and, um, but people found out, didn't like it, and now she's a traitor, and she's just like but the way she says it, it's just, like, so, like, meh. Like, I liked their friendship because Claudia is talking to somebody who also is an outsider, and they're
Mhm.
they're they're kind of connecting on that fact.
Yeah. So it started to look up for Claudia in that way, but in other ways, definitely not. Like I said, the tensions between Armand and Claudia are, getting thicker and thicker. There is that moment where he corners her and he basically tells her to get it together. Like, you work for me until I say so, or I will hurt you. I know about Lestat. Like, he basically just like aired her shit out in the middle of the alley. And this is when Claudia realizes, oh no, the jig is up. This whole
Mhm.
time she's been coaching Louis through this fake story and hiding her thoughts and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, she got to go charge Louis up because he already knew everything. He already knew that Armand knew. He even filled in the blanks for him. Just sorry.
Ooh, I was pissed. I was pissed
Yeah.
for Claudia. Like, why? are you touching my shoulder? Like, get off of
Get your hand
me.
off of me. Oh
Get
my
off of
God.
me. Oh my gosh. And Armand's threatening her with this and that and this and that. And oh my God. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're about to square up, Armand. Just square up. Because but then, like you said, she goes to talk to Louis. She's like, Armand knows about Lestat. He knows about everything. And Louis like, well, yeah, I told him because of course you did. And I love the motif bringing back. She was like, me and you and me and you and me. No, you and him, you and him. And I was like, thank you for calling him out on his bullshit. Like, Claudia, I feel so bad for Claudia. Claudia didn't ask for this. She did not ask for this dark gift. She didn't ask to be brought into Louis' orbit. She didn't ask to be surrounded by all these, like she said, assholes. Like, it's just not fair to her. And again, like she said, you picked another guy over me again. Like, I'd be livid.
Louis' point of view is that, okay, but I didn't want to make you mad. Like, you were so happy. You liked the coven. You were having such a good time. What's happening?
You picked the coven over me. Like,
yeah, he like, I mean, you got here, you chose the coven. You clearly now, I'll give him some grace. She did kind of choose the coven over him. I mean, like she been dragging him around, like all for like, they barely talk, She found a coven and she did have some life to her. He said, go have your fun. I'm gonna go do my own thing and we'll be okay. But then Armand happens. Now, once Armand happens, once we know that Armand knows, Louis should have pulled the plug right then, right? Him and Claudia should have left like thieves in the night, and wherever the next place was, he could, because had he gone and told Claudia, they know, I know they know, because Armand knows. Then Claudia can't even put up a fight. Yeah, she was happy, but any logical human would say, or vampire would be like, we gotta go. We're not safe here. But no, not Louis. Louis says, but I like him a lot. Now, you're not my companion, but I like him. I'm willing to risk all of this for a man that I'm calling my friend. I was like, all right, Louis. It's a mess. We gotta talk about Santiago. Santiago and company are upset. Armand has threatened them repeatedly, especially Santiago. Like, you're gonna be where your maker is. You're gonna meet your maker, as the old adage goes. And Santiago's like, I don't like that. So he is now digging up dirt on Louis and Claudia and an extension, Armand. They break into the house. They find Claudia's old diaries, and we're kind of left to wonder what this is going to look like. Now, like Mari, they have this information. But what can they really do with just information, right? Like, at the end of the day, if they have an issue with who's in charge, they have to overthrow them physically. And I think like we might have a fight on our hands.
Yeah, but also this could be the information that Santiago can use to press Armand, because what I'm assuming in those diaries is, yeah, we were turned by Lestat, we killed him, all that jazz, so it's at least proof that there's lies. And if Santiago can prove that Armand knew about the lies, then he can press his claim. But yeah, it would be a physical battle, I think, unless like Armand were to abdicate the position. But I believe if he were to abdicate the position, he would have to leave. So maybe that's how we get to where we're at in present time. Like, you would have to leave the territory.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like with someone as powerful as Armand, you gotta like make him leave, right? Like, you can't just banish him because you said so, right? Because he could just like fight you. Like, he could just kill you. Like, if Santiago comes in like, I got the diary, what's stopping Armand from now ripping his head off?
True. Yeah.
So that's something we will have to explore later on, because we have some present who matters of the present, and I guess matters of the past to kind of discuss, because by episode 5, we're going to delve into what happened way back in San Francisco. So this is kind of like the almost like the dramatized version of Interview with the Vampire, the movie. It's like though.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's why I was like, man, should I have watched the movie again? Because I was.
We might need to.
I might need to, yeah.
We should probably do that. Maybe we do that for later on, just before the Vampire
Mhm.
Lestat or something like that, where we just like watch
Yeah.
the movie and get reacquainted with the source question mark material. It's the book. So, you know,
Yeah.
um, because this is tough. So throughout episode 4, we are seeing Daniel Malloy kind of pressing again. This is what he does well, right? He's kind of pushing in different spots to get more information out of it. I mentioned him calling Louis schizophrenic, but I mean, I think that is a valid criticism of the way Louis has been acting, especially with Louis, basically revealing that he's been sensing Lestat's presence or at least imagining it to some extent throughout this entire time. But Daniel is also noticing things like Louis' photo collection has some professional photos in it. And this thing is going to push a rift between Louis and Armand as well. Because Louis didn't like that. He didn't like that, it seems as though like they almost it seems as though Armand says he didn't do it, but we are led to believe Armand has probably planted some of these photos in there to make Louis' photography collection or look a little bit more impressive.
Mm.
Uh, Louis does
Yeah,
not like that.
I was confused about that. I was like, "What?"
Yeah. But it's these small moments that are really going to open the door for what's about to happen. That and the fact that Daniel is still having these flashbacks about Armand. We
Yeah.
saw in the last episode, Armand is in his head, like, I remember that time you proposed, remember that time you tried to have sex with that girl. Like, he's like bringing up
Mhm.
old stuff. And it's very clearly taking its toll on Daniel. So in episode 6, we kind of get to the bottom of what that was. It starts with Daniel and Louis. I believe it starts with them kind of like share. Oh yeah, Louis and Armand is talking about their love life and all that kind of stuff, doing all the cute stuff.
Which was weird and put on. This part I was like, "What is this?" It was like they're like, "Yes, you remember that time we
Oh, it
did
was so
this?"
good. Oh, it was
I
so
was like,
great.
"What is what?" Y'all okay.
That was the vision of this that Armand had. Like once he decided that he was going to join in on the storytelling, this was going to be the story of like how they saw their love story and how they filled in the blanks. But Daniel has other things in mind because he
Mhm.
still has those files from that random guy, RJ is what I've called him because that's what he was popping
Yeah.
up as in the little chat.
The
So
Damascus agent is what we can assume.
yeah, what we can
Mhm.
assume. So he then talks about yeah, he talks about language. He talks about how Louis is kind of like circling around some things, but he hasn't really got to him. But I think the I guess the big inciting incident here is that Armand has to hunt.
Mhm.
And because he has to hunt, they have now brought in a man to run from him.
It didn't feel like a YouTuber. It felt like they brought in
Yeah,
a a
like
YouTuber to be
a YouTuber that does like parkour, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. They told him he just had to get to a certain point, and then they'd give him what? A whole bunch of
Oh,
Bitcoin. So, yeah, like
yeah. if if you can just run very fast, and just stay, if you could just outrun Armand, we will give you all the Bitcoin and all the crypto. I guess you could possibly want. Obviously, Armand is going to capture this man. Armand doesn't eat often. He's an ancient. I guess he don't have to, but when he
Mhm.
does, he likes to get his little exercise in. This man was exercising in the most lavish of clothes, like sunglasses on. Like this man
Mhm,
had no issue chasing this man down, but because of that, we have roughly 2 hours, I
mhm,
think, of
mhm.
time where Daniel is really going to press Louis to kind of get to the bottom of these memories in his head. Um, he has these files, they keep popping up, he keeps going through them. He has recordings even from his interview with uh, Louis from way back in San Francisco in 73. And
Mhm,
so Daniel's big question here is why didn't Armand just kill him? I'm sorry, why
mhm,
didn't Louis just kill him?
mhm.
And for a second, it does feel like Louis doesn't want to go on this journey with him. But there are
Yeah.
parts of Louis's memory that are missing. And so we kind of get kind of like I guess, the complete retelling of what happens while they fill in the blanks for each other. What did you think about this episode kind of following that format?
So that's what I was wondering. So, I know because again, I have not watched the original Interview with the Vampire movie. since probably it came out.
Hopefully after that.
Yeah. So did Daniel Malloy die in the original one?
I do not think so, and I do not remember that vividly. So I'm sure
Okay, you
someone
don't
will let us
remember
know in the
either. Okay.
comments. Yeah,
All right. So
but I
so
don't think
yeah.
so.
So I thought this was really interesting. Um I did think it was interesting, but I didn't realize we were gonna be in here this whole episode.
Hmm.
But I guess I wasn't really mad at it. I was just like, wow, you're dropping a lot of lore on me right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I did like the point where Daniel's like, just give me 20 minutes. Like, I'm doing all this for you. I need these answers. Because I guess what my problem was up until this point, again, we're what, episode 5 of the second season. I
Hmm.
don't think I realized how big of a touchstone that was for him in a sense of like it being unresolved.
Hmm.
So now that it's coming up and it's like he's like, I need this to be resolved. I was like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
so the flashback of them to that night and the drug fueled
Hmm.
ramblings in the original tape, I did think that was a very interesting way for them to be able to kind of like retcon the earlier versions of how he felt about Lestat and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I love this. I really do
Yeah.
because we talk about how in the first season, Louis describes Lestat as like feeble and he just has all these negative things about him in the original interview. But
Yeah.
when Daniel was interviewing him in the present time, it's Lestat's the love of my life. Lestat's this, Lestat's that. He's so perfect and all these other things. And it's like, well, what was it about Lestat back then? Like, what changed? Basically, was this
Mhm.
Louis has now his memory of Lestat is flowery because time has passed? Was he always lying? Come to find out, Louis might have been a little bitter. I think that is the vibe
Mm.
I was getting in the original interview. Once we got to see the flashback, it was very much like, and who the hell does Lestat think he is? Like he's just some, and he was just kind of like bashing him throughout. Now that obviously, like you said, that retcons kind of what we know about Louis because, like I said, his memory is not necessarily the most reliable thing here. We have the original interview saying that he felt a completely different way, but it was a different time as well. Maybe now in the current day, he is a lot more secure with his relationship with the memory of Lestat than he was back in 73. So Daniel and Louis link up at a bar. He tells him like, I'm a vampire. He's like, yeah, sure, let's go back to the room and do drugs and have sex. So they go back to the room, they do drugs, they do not have sex, but something about the way Daniel is talking to Louis, it's starting to like I think it started to piss Louis off. Louis is like not okay with Daniel pressing in these ways, talking about Claudia and pushing on really on different buttons, and to the point where Louis gets violent with him. That's what it was. Daniel wants the gift. He thinks Louis is
Yeah.
not deserving of a dark gift. He finds out that
Squandering the
Louis
gift. Mhm.
Louis tried to take his own life when Claudia left. That's the part of the story
Which we
that
saw.
which we saw, and that's the moment Daniel lost respect for Louis. He's like,
Mhm.
you don't, you have the cure to everything. You have everything is fixed in your life, and you give it all up for this moment of sadness when you could live an eternal life. Like, give it to me, give it to me. And
Mm.
this causes Louis to act violently, and he's basically about to drain Daniel and leave him for dead. But I'm very confused because Armand shows up and puts a stop to this. Now,
Mhm.
Armand says that Louis has killed a bunch of people. Okay, we've been killing people since killing people been killing people. That's fine.
Mhm.
Brought a bunch of men up in here. They all dead. But our
128.
128. Yet this time around, um, Louis does not just murder Armand. I mean, Daniel. He drains him. Like he like feeds on him, like the drugs and all that kind of stuff. What'd you make of this?
Oh, I loved it. This moment was really good. So first between the Louis and Daniel was when Louis just kind of like like you said, just venting, getting all that stuff off of his
Trauma
chest.
dumping.
Yeah, about Lestat. And he talked about Claudia got on the train and he sat on that bench and he was going to sit there till the sun came up. We saw that in season 1.
Hmm.
So and then that's the point where him and he starts attacking Daniel. So again, haven't seen the movie. I was like, so is that where the movie stops
Mm.
in this thing? Right. Yeah, that's what I'm like, because I remember in the movie Armand does show up at some point. So, but anyways, I love that callback to like right before Lestat kidnaps Claudia and they they all have to are forced to live with each other again, you
Like
know.
a family.
Um, but then once he drains Daniel, once he starts draining Daniel and Armand comes in, Daniel has been taking drugs. So with Louis drinking Daniel's blood, he has the drugs from the blood. So this uh leads to that intense argument between Louis and Armand. And I was like, oh, like y'all, I was like, oh my God, they were arguing like a 23-year married couple. When Louis hit him with the you're boring, you're boring, you're boring, I was like, ooh, I was like, oh.
Yeah, let's blame it on drugs. Let's blame this on the drugs. Okay. People be upset. He didn't drain this man into the daylight. Okay. The sun has come up.
The
Okay. And
sun is
Louis
up,
still in
yeah.
there eating. So
Mhm.
he has no intention of killing this man, basically. Like if he did, he would have been dead. Um,
Right.
so Armand comes in, he's very upset. He's like, oh, look at you making another mess, and now I gotta clean it up. And Louis like,
Yep.
oh, here you go again. Nag, nag, nag. That's all you do. All you do. And you're so boring. Oh my God. At least he ain't dull like you. Like Louis, Louis kind of sucks, Amari. Like Louis,
Kinda.
Louis is
Louis,
the
it's like
worst.
Louis needs toxicity. He's like,
Yeah.
"You're not toxic like my ex."
At least my ex was entertaining. You are boring. Like, damn. The 10 hours I spent with Daniel was more exciting than decades with you, is what this man tells him.
What?
Yeah.
All they did was sit and talk. Like, well,
Well, well,
well,
Armand, step it up. Um, Armand, in my opinion, should be offended by this. Not just the dull part.
right.
Obviously, that is said to hurt his feelings, but all of this, all of these problems just keep circling back to Lestat. Armand points out that while he's with Louis, they don't talk about Lestat like this. Lestat's name comes up, but it's always like, oh, Lestat, that awful guy. Like Lestat, the thing, like they talk about him kind of like passively. Like it's a thing that they both shared in the past. They moved on. This Louis, the one that we have on tape now, venting to Daniel Malloy, is obsessed with Lestat. It's all he wants to talk
Mhm.
about. Lestat, 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 Claudia, Lestat, Lestat, Claudia, Lestat, Lestat, Lestat. Armand's like, where am I? Where am I in this love story anymore? And all of their problems just keep circling back to Lestat. There are definitely some moments where you can see Louis is starting to miss Claudia. And there's this very telling moment where it seems like it's all gotten too much for Louis. He's talking about the memory of Claudia. He runs out of the room. Armand follows him. And this is where Louis doesn't really remember what happens here. But
Mhm.
Daniel has the tape. And so you can hear the sound of Louis basically running out into the sun to once again try to take his own life.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and he gets so severely injured that we're not shocked that, you know, he forgets this portion. So Armand once again has to clean up the mess. He has to bring Louis back in. He has to kill the neighbor that saw him run out.
Mhm.
And poor Daniel is just slumped over in the corner, slowly bleeding.
And then slowly getting tortured for roughly 4 days, it
Oh,
seems.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, because Armand says, like, "Make me interesting," or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so damn
Mhm.
since you so damn entertaining, make me entertaining. Make me laugh. Like, tell me something. What's about you that's so goddamn special that my man wants to talk to you all goddamn night? Like, I don't. I'm sitting over here like, damn. Is this another justice for Armand moment? Like, damn. Like, I don't even know how livid I would be if somebody told me that I'm so bored that they spent 10 hours with somebody else and it's like more. 10 hours with one person is more exciting than
20
decades.
23 years.
Yeah, they done been to Paris. They're in San Francisco. They've been all around the world together. And you done did a little coke with this man, and now all of a sudden you're ready to throw it all away. I'd be mad.
True, but not mad enough to again
Take it out of
torture
game.
the guy by
Right.
like going through his mind and just rooting around through all his ish, like
Mhm.
to make him forget too, like toxic. Both of them,
Mhm.
get them both out of here.
Yeah, this is a bad relationship. So Armand starts to punish Daniel for and holding him hostage and investigating why Louis didn't kill him. And while Armand destroys Daniel's stuff and other recordings, Daniel admits that he's just good at getting angles and stories off of people. And Armand says that you will make me fascinating. Louis so damn fascinating, and you're gonna teach me how to be fascinating too. So Louis is in the other room the whole time listening
Yeah,
to
he's
this,
like
right? So
healing or something, or no? That's what I
Armand,
assumed.
yeah, Armand gives him blood, puts him in the
Yeah,
coffin,
in the
like he's
coffin.
basically nursing him back to health. And so it's like we're watching this from two perspectives, right? We're watching Louis' perspective from outside the room, kind of hearing
Right.
what's happening with Daniel, and then we're knowing that Daniel's perspective is very blurry, but we do have the recordings from that night as
Mhm.
well. Now there is this moment where when Armand is healing Louis, and he tells him, like, I listened to the tapes twice. You talked about Lestat, you talked about Claudia. And I think that you did that on the record with this reporter. I think you spent 10 hours talking to this man because you wanted this kind of like almost like this diss track to Lestat to be
Yeah.
on the shelves as like a best-selling novel. So in the world that he is here, and that he will hear this and then come looking for you. You did this as a cry out for your ex-lover who abused you that you will never get out of your mind. What do you think about that as a concept? Do you think Louis is that what Louis is doing? Is he doing this consciously? Is he doing this subconsciously? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. No, that tracks to me. Like, can you imagine Lestat going to a bookstore and seeing, like, him being called somebody who could barely play the piano
Oh
and
my God.
trite and stuff like that?
He's negging
I
him.
Yeah, exactly. I think Armand clocked, like, real hard. I agree. It's was it conscious? Probably not. It was probably a subconsciously, like, him, you know, trying to call out to Lestat.
So here's my issue. It's giving Lestat. Isn't this the same type of energy as, oh, Louis, I wrote you a love song. That's just my other woman's voice on the track. Isn't that the same kind of like the thing that'll make you
Mhm.
swim across the Mississippi River to go get somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like to me,
You right. Oh, nailed it. You right, you right.
I just feel like that's the same vibe. Like I can't tell you that I love you to get you to come back because that's not working. But what I can do is play in your face until you
Yeah.
have no choice but to confront me.
Oh, that's so bad, but yeah, that's it. You
So
nailed it.
So Daniel says, I'm sorry, Armand. There's too many names. Armand
Yeah.
says his last act of service is that he will ease Louis' mind a little bit. He says, Lestat is alive, and I know where he is, and I'll even call him for you.
Chappell.
Did he not?
This is not this is not that part of the relationship you wanna be in. Oh, you wanna be with your ex? Okay, let me get her on the phone for you.
Hello? Say what you
Hello?
got to say. Yeah. Yeah. Since you so got what? Mari, this is messy. He telepathically calls out to Lestat for Lestat to be like, Louis, I still love you. Tell him I love him. Tell him I love him.
Hood rat shit.
Ghetto. It's like this weird seance where he's like,
Yeah.
okay, you want Lestat so bad. I've reached out, I found him. Here's his voice. And he's saying everything. And I'm going to repeat back everything he says. The one thing he does not relay back to Louis is that Lestat does say, I love you, Louis. Tell him I love him. And Armand never passes that on.
Yeah. Because
So,
I'm still a hater. Like at the end
right,
of the day.
because no, you can't
You
go be
ain't
with him. What are you talking about?
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so
So
Louis
confirmation.
assured
This is our first confirmation though that
that,
Lestat is
yeah,
still alive.
this is it. Like at
Yeah.
least in 73, Lestat is alive. Now,
Yeah.
it does seem like there is no connection between Lestat in 73 and Lestat in Paris that we're talking about right now. Because obviously Louis would have known that he was alive prior to this if that was the case. So by the 70s, Louis now has like, okay, Lestat's alive. But Louis assures Armand in this moment, he's just my maker, nothing more. Do you think Armand should be concerned that Louis is on suicide watch for the rest of eternity?
Yes. Yes. How messy is that? Like your ex is ex, you and your current, like y'all all are immortal.
Yeah.
And all have to deal with each other basically from now until the end of time. You always got to be worried about you got to be worried about the person that they're telling you not to be worried about for eternity.
Forever. Yeah, forever.
I'd be worried.
You can't even block them.
He said,
you know, like
we can't talk, not fully. He said, you haven't said Lestat's name in 23 years. You get in this room with this man and talk about him for 10 hours. Like,
since you love him so much, here you go. Yeah,
I'd be worried.
Choose him right now. Because I think the subtext there is like, choose him right now and I'm going to kill you. You know, and honestly, if we were talking about human on human violence, I'd be like, Armand should not kill Louis. But like,
vampire on vampire
drama. Louis done got on my damn nerves. Armand, you might need to free yourself, King. Put on that Fantasia album, sing, cry, clean up the house, kill this man and move on. Yeah, he assures Armand he has nothing to worry about for the rest of eternity. We will then see Armand go to kill Daniel Malloy, and Louis stands up for him. Says, no, don't kill him. Let him live as a testament of the endurance of our relationship. And now basically Daniel only lives his life as a part of their weird love story from their perspective. Like they were always going to like look at him almost like as this is the guy who will tell our story one day. And we see that Louis will again pull rank on Armand. Armand being way older than Louis, but in this moment, he's like, I said, leave him alive. And Armand says, yes, daddy.
Again.
Is this because Armand just doesn't want to lose Louis? Or is like Armand really kind of just like a sub?
Both.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Both.
if Armand kills Daniel, what is Louis gonna do? Really? Like, is he gonna leave? Maybe.
And go where?
Right. I was like, kill this man. So anyway, in the real time, I guess even in that moment, in the real time, we are noticing that Daniel's memory and Louis' memory have basically been edited. You know, we know that Armand, you know, they pumped Daniel full of drugs, and then Armand got around messing around in his mind, fed him basically the false narrative of what happened that day. And then that is the story that Daniel worked with Interview with the Vampire, the movie. And, you know, the Daniel Malloy story that we know of today kind of comes from and includes those moments. But Louis' memory is also screwed up from that point. And so the question mark is here, did Armand also do something to Louis' memory? Because Louis, as we see, is it's like a mangled, burnt to a crisp body. You know, he's very feeble. He could be somebody who is, you know, kind of fiddled with a little bit in his weakened state. And Armand is very powerful. He's so powerful that we've seen in episode 4, we haven't really talked about it, but he's even teaching Louis how to do the firepower back in Paris. Yeah. So Armand could have the skills to do that. We know he does it to Daniel. Does he have the skills and the strength to do it to Louis? I guess we will have to find out in a future episode, because this episode ends as Armand shows back up, and it's very clear that Daniel and Louis have stumbled onto something. They just don't know what. So that's episodes 4 and 5. Mari, what do you think? We are in a situation where we know today that Armand and Louis are together. They're together and they are seemingly a happy family. But something happened back in 73 with these memories that Armand may or may not had to do with when it comes to Louis's memories. Maybe it is just that he burnt in the fire. In the sun. Who knows? But where do you think we are going next with this story? Because there's some holes that Louis is going to need to kind of fill in with the help of Daniel, it seems. But you know, we don't know what that means. So what are you thinking? Like, what are your predictions moving forward?
I don't know. I think now that we have confirmation that Lestat is alive, maybe we see what Lestat's up to. Like, I think
Okay.
that could be a good way to, like, kinda it's like now we have absolute concrete evidence Lestat is still around.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's he been up to? What's he doing? How did he fit into 73 or now or whatever? That's my only thought. But also we still have to deal with Santiago and the
Mm-hmm.
coven and then the fire. So yeah, there's so many places this can go.
Yeah. And my biggest question is like, okay, we found out Lestat is alive in 73, sending telepathic messages to Armand. But do we really believe that for between 73 and 2020, Louis never makes contact with Lestat? Like, you
Mm,
just dangled this carrot in front of him, right? The thing that we know that even in 1973, he still can't shake. He's still sending subliminal messages through whatever this, interview with the vampire was going to be to Lestat. But does he ever make connection with Lestat again? That's where I'm kind of like interested. That's where I'm leaning into like,
yeah. And especially since also it's like it's so weird, right? Because it's not an adaptation, it's like a reimagining.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole thing was not trying to also bring in the other books, but we do like at some point doesn't Lestat become like a well-known rock star or something like that, like
Mm-hmm.
so,
Allegedly. In the
allegedly,
books for
yeah,
sure. In the books
in
for
the
sure.
books, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just so much going on, and I like that there's a lot that they can do with this IP. Um, and so far, I'm loving the mystery of it all. And we do know that season 3 and that's another thing, we know that season 3 is entitled The Vampire Lestat. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I hope this resolves in a very satisfying way.
Yes.
Because what, we got 3 episodes left?
I believe so. Yes, we have the next pair and our finale episode. Well, so that's 2 more weeks of podcasting about this before we take a big break and come back for the Vampire Lestat once they announce it. But yes, eight episodes this season. So we'll be doing 6 and 7, and then we'll be ending it with episode 8 as we enter the new year.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Look at us. Look at us
Look
go.
at us. I'm so excited. Okay, so
Mhm.
Mari, do you have a book for us?
Um, let's just say no for this week. I know. It's the end of the semester, so it's been a little crazy over here. So that's why I don't have a vampire book, you
Mhm.
know. If a supernatural book, like if you want me to suggest a supernatural book,
No.
I could oh, okay, never mind.
Don't
All right.
cheat. Yeah, don't
All
cheat.
right.
We're
Never
we're
mind
the
then. All right.
vampire corner only. Now, Mark, I have another question about the show. We haven't talked about her in the grand scheme of what this looks like, but we don't see Claudia in the present time. She's obviously not around
Yeah.
in the 70s. What do you think is about to happen to Claudia?
That's what I'm really wondering. I for the bottom of my heart, I hope she doesn't like, I hope she's still with us, but then
Mhm.
again, that would be, again, another 23 years in the body of a 14-year-old. It's a 14-year-old in this adaptation, it's a 10-year-old in the other movie, she's a 5-year-old in the previous, so she probably shouldn't be too long for this world, but I don't know, man. I just want her I want her to find her happy ending, but honestly, it might be her not being a vampire. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, she
Yeah.
didn't ask for this.
She didn't. and now she's in it. And when it comes to happy endings, we have not yet seen a happy ending from what I can tell.
Yeah.
For vampires, you call them the damned for a reason, right? Like, are they supposed to run off into the sunset and live happily ever after, or are eventually the sins of their past going to come to roost? It looked like Louis and Armand have just like established this loving, rich relationship that has gone on for so many years. They're wealthy. They have each other. What else could they want? But now that Daniel Malloy is poking around and asking questions, does feel like this relationship might be a little bit more feeble than we expected at first. So maybe we'll hold our hopes for Claudia. If you've seen the movie, you know that Claudia doesn't survive that, but this is not the movie. So we shall see what happens in the story as we prepare to talk about the final 3 episodes of Interview with the Vampire. Mari, until we come back next time, what are you working on?
You can find me on Crime Scene. Me and Sarah Carradine, we do true crime review podcasts. So you can go to crimescenepod.com in order to subscribe. We just had a great talk with Mr. Matt Scott. We covered Aloha, the Hostage, live on TV. It was a documentary on Netflix. It is very harrowing documentary. And we had a very good conversation about it. So you can again go check out Crime Scene by going to Crime Scene Pod. That's Crime SEEN pod.com, or you can go to our Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Crime Scene Pod. We are currently fundraising because we want to submit Crime Scene for a Webby Award. We want to be able to get other people to see our content, and we feel like being nominated for a Webby and best single podcast episode for the crime and justice category could go a long way to help. And we did pick an episode, and the episode we picked was Trainwreck, the Astro World Tragedy, featuring Chappell. So we want to submit that episode, me, Sarah, and Chappell. But the only way we can do that is if we can fundraise. It costs $585 in order to submit for the Webby. So we're asking our supporters, our fans, if you guys, anything could help. We understand times are hard, but if you could just $1 towards us being able to, this is basically marketing. We're trying to raise a marketing budget, So if you can help us get that out, that we would really appreciate it. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Crime Scene Pod in order to support. And you can find me on Bluesky at Mari Talks Too Much, 2 like the number 2. And that's it.
All right. And then you, of course, can catch all of the content that we have here on Recap Kickback by subscribing, recapkickback.com/subscribe, youtube.com/@recapkickback. Make sure you follow me on social media @recapkickback, and tune in for continued coverage of your favorite shows and ours, and let us know what you would like for us to talk about. You can always email us recapkickback.com or recapkickback@gmail.com. Sorry for the email address to let us know what you want us to talk about, and any of the thoughts that you may have on Interview with the Vampire or any of the shows that we're covering. But that's it for Mario and for myself. You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get the hell up out of here. We'll talk to y'all next time. Peace. I've been trapped behind isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreams. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.